Hi, welcome to Straight from the Paws. I'm Gail Furtado, president of Forever Paws, and today with me I have two special guests that are dear to my heart. I have Joyce Pinsonnault.
Good morning.
And I have Diane Cote.
Good morning.
Both of them I've given them titles. They've both been board members for a long time, but I'm going to start with Joyce. Joyce, how long have you been a board member for Forever Paws?
From 1996 is when I started.
So you've been there right from the start.
Long time, yes.
And you were past president for a while.
Yes, I was.
And how did that work for you?
It was a lot of work, as you know, because you're the president now, but I've stepped down and now I'm volunteer coordinator and very happy with that job.
You enjoy being volunteer coordinator?
I do.
Even when you get those phone calls like 6 a.m. or midnight?
Well, sometimes not that, but
yeah.
you know, it's part of what goes along with the job.
And the job is something that you enjoy doing, you said. Now, what do you think about, let me ask you, how do you get volunteers? Like, what is, I know you do an orientation, so let's talk about the orientation first. Explain what the volunteers have to go through as a process.
Okay, they first have to go to orientation. They usually get their telephone number either from the website or from at the shelter. They either go in or call, and then they call my home number. And we always have orientation, hypothetically, always the first Sunday of the month, unless, of course, we have a storm. But I've said I won't tolerate storms, so we've been lucky up until now. And it's always on Sunday, first Sunday of the month at 9:30 in the morning.
Now, would you like to tell people why it's only on a Sunday? Because I know that's a question that becomes a stickler for you, and I think maybe if we let our viewers know why it's only on Sundays, they would better understand if they were interested in volunteering.
I work, and Sunday is my day that I have that I try to either do things for the shelter, either the orientation or something else. That's my day for the shelter.
Okay. Now, why do you think an orientation is necessary? Why can't people just go down and say, I want to pet the cats, I want to help out, walk the dogs? Why is an orientation so important?
I think it's important because I have them there at 9:30 in the morning when the place isn't totally cleaned up. So they get in and this is what it's all about. It's hard work. It's wonderful work. A lot of it is dealing with cleaning, and that's right. What we have to do, because to keep the animals safe and to keep them presentable, it's cleaning. That's 99% of it.
Now, I know for a fact that when you have an orientation, you might have 20 people that sign up, and then only maybe 10 show up, and then after that, they don't all come back.
You're right.
Correct?
That does happen. So we've been very fortunate. We've had a good complement of people showing up. We've had other things that we've had to our older people that are signing up now that are coming in, not only kids, but middle-aged people who just want to volunteer and they're interested in animals.
Can you explain to the audience a little bit about what an orientation entails?
Well, I take them through a tour. We read through. I'm a librarian, so I like to read. So therefore, I go through a whole list of things that we need to know about the shelter. I like to let them know how to dress. I like them to go through on a tour to see what they're getting into. Okay. And to tour the place and to see the animals up close and to know this is what it's all about.
Okay, can you tell me about the age requirement? How do you allow people to come and volunteer?
Well, I don't take them any younger than 14 unless they're with a school, and some of the schools need community service time. One of them is Espírito Santo, the Atlantis Charter School, and a couple of the other schools. A lot of the honor societies schools need to come in, Connolly, Bristol Aggie, and a couple of the others.
But our age limit is 18 if they're not doing community service.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
That's important for people to know. And
right.
then the orientation, we also have, I know I'm so happy about that, we finally have a volunteer handbook put together.
Yes, excitement.
And how do people react to that?
Well, that's the first thing they do is when they get there, I say once they have their shirts on, they go in, put on a name tag, sign in, and read your volunteer handbook. That's before you even walk out on the floor.
Now, let me ask you a question. Two things. One is, what exactly, can you give me just a synopsis of what might be in a volunteer handbook that people need to read before they start working?
Well, some of the things are rules and regulations. We do have rules and regulations. You have to know how to dress. You can't come in with sandals on and jewelry and that sort of thing. So you have to know how to dress. You have to know what's expected of you.
Okay. And also, one of the things I think is important is they have to know about sterilization and keeping things,
Oh, absolutely.
Concerned about the disease and stuff like that. So they have to know all about that, even know how to wash dishes. We wash dishes much differently than you do at your own home.
Absolutely. And that's one of the jobs that I tell them. I think that's, if not the most important, one of the most important functions there.
Now, you and Diane are here sitting with our shirts on today.
Yes.
Forever Paws Volunteer.
Our Busy Bee shirts.
And would you like to tell people why we have the volunteer shirts?
Well, that way I find it unifies us for one thing. And I think for me, I'm proud when I look out into the yard or into the kennel or anywhere else and see those shirts. And I think once you have this on, I think you become part of what you're doing.
Now, you have a minimum of how many hours that people have to volunteer?
Yes, 20 hours.
20 hours. And if people, let's say they have a community service for a court relation and they have to be there 200 hours, are they allowed to do that at the shelter?
What we do is I have them come in for 20 hours. If they, close to the end of their 20 hours, I have them give me a call. I check with the shelter, find out if they work well and play well with others. And if they do, then we keep them on.
Okay, so people are provided an opportunity to do a numerous amount of volunteer hours, and
Yes.
we can go on from there. And then you also have the ones that only have to do 5 or 10, and they don't want to be there, so they know they have to do a minimum of 20.
Yes, they do, and I own the first 20.
Okay, absolutely. All right, Diane, let me ask you a question. I know you're in charge of a certain group of volunteers now. Do your volunteers that go out into the community to represent Forever Paws, do they have to go through Joyce's orientation?
Yes, they do.
Okay, why do you think, why is that? Because they're not working at the shelter.
Okay, basically they go through Joyce's orientation, and when Joyce has an orientation, she gives me the names of the people that are interested in doing some of our outreach. And once I get those names, I contact the individuals and I tell them what we're all about. I educate them about the different programs, the protocol that we use when we go out and we do these different adoption events. So I want them to have a full understanding of how the shelter operates from the staff point of view. And also when we go out into the community, I want them to be able to promote the shelter, our fundraisers, our programs, everything that goes on at the shelter.
Okay, and my understanding, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, you have mostly adult volunteers working with you.
Yes, I do. All the volunteers that I currently have, they are all adults.
Okay, and they have to have a good repertoire with the public as well as knowing information about the animals. So can you explain to us what a typical adoption procedure would, a day or whatever where you're out in Joe Public, what do you do to prepare for that and with your volunteers?
Okay, as far as going out into the public, we go out and we do different adoption days. And basically the volunteers come and they pick up the animals and we set up a display. And at this time the public is able to view our animals and we promote the shelter. We talk about our programs that we have, the fundraising events that we have. And at this time we hope that people are going to fall in love with some of our animals that we have and be interested in adopting. So in order to do this, we need a lot of different volunteers, which currently we do have some really dedicated volunteers. As far as our schedule in going out is concerned, we service 4 different retail businesses on a monthly basis. The first Saturday of every month, we are at the Petco in Taunton. The second Saturday of every month, we are at Melissa's Pet Depot in Dartmouth, which we have been servicing now for close to 5 years.
Wow.
The third Saturday of every month, we do 2 off-site adoption days. One we do at the Petco in Dartmouth, which we have been servicing for over 3 years. The other one, we do the Petco in Seekonk, which we've been servicing more than 1 year. And besides that, we do additional events if we have the volunteers that are capable of going. And some of the other events that we do besides going out into retail stores, we do home shows, we do craft fairs, Pawtucket Red Sox, McCoy Stadium. There was a wine tasting that was put on at Douglas Wine and Spirit in Fall River for their public, and they wanted us to be there to represent our shelter. And on that particular day, we were very fortunate because we had brought a dog there and we had had a couple of cats. And there was a lady who came in and saw that dog and absolutely fell in love with it. And the rest is all history. So we try to go out into the community as much as we can. Just to show you how active our outreach program is, in the year 2013, we actually went out into the community 53 times.
Wow.
And that
That's
would
awesome.
never happen if we didn't have the volunteers that we currently have. And the volunteers that I have are so dedicated. I have certain ones that they work the second and third Saturday of every month. That is automatically put on their calendar. And they don't miss. Once in a while, they might go on a vacation once a year. I have other volunteers that commit to the third Saturday of the month. I have others that commit to the first and the third Saturday of the month. So we're very fortunate, and we're always looking for people who want to join our different teams.
How many volunteers do you currently have with your core group?
I currently, with my core group, I have about 10. We have the volunteers that definitely commit to whatever it be, the first, second, or third Saturday of the month. And then when other events come up, I have other people who volunteer who currently have very busy schedules, and I'll ask them in advance, would you like to do a particular event? And if they can do it, they will. And I'm very successful at getting people to do this. All the people, basically, they all love the animals. They get excited when they go out and do the adoption days to see what animals are going to be brought to the site. And they get super excited when they know that an animal was adopted because of our efforts out into the community.
Thank you. I want to clarify something. We call it an adoption day, but you can't actually adopt a dog or a cat on that particular day at that site. They still have to go through the procedure of of adopting the process through the shelter and the staff, because the staff has to look at, their application and so on. So we did have that opportunity, and that was great the one day that the dog was adopted. I was there, and that felt really good. But I think that we need to know too, people need to know that we have a situation where we want the best opportunity for the animal to be adopted. So we do an adoption process. It does take more than 1 or 2 days to get that animal processed, and I think that's very important for people to understand. It's not like, okay, you want this animal and therefore the dog, cat is already yours. It is an adoption process, and I want people to understand that if we take a little bit longer with our adoptions, it's because we want to find the best forever home for that animal, and that's very important to us. So I thank you both for this morning. I really appreciate you coming in and meeting with me.
May I say one thing?
I'm going to take a, okay.
The volunteers under 18 have to have a parental signature.
Okay.
It is required.
Okay, we're going to go to break right now. We'll be right back with another guest.
When you adopt, you give an animal a second chance at life and a second chance at love. Like their human counterparts, animals deserve a life of dignity and happiness, but most of all, they deserve our love. At Forever Paws Animal Shelter, we work to give animals the gift of time. Our mission is simple: place these valued animals in loving homes. A pet is a friend for life. When you believe in them, they will always believe in you. Forever Paws Animal Shelter, giving animals a new leash on life.
Welcome back to Straight from the Paws. Now I have a new visitor with me, and this is Laurie Coolidge.
Hi.
Hi, Laurie. And Laurie is a volunteer / staff person. Now, if I understand correctly, you live in Somerset? Mm-hmm. So how did you hear about Forever Paws?
Well, about 10 years ago, we were looking to adopt a cat, and I did search, and I found Forever Paws and adopted a cat from there.
All right. So your experience was a good experience, I would assume?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then many years later, you decided to come back and join us.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why? You're getting bored?
I was getting bored. My kids were all doing their own thing. I had really not much to do around the house, so I decided to volunteer. And my daughter, who also volunteered and worked at a humane society in Colorado Springs, said, "Why don't you do volunteer at an animal shelter?" So Forever Paws is what came into my mind. I called, talked to Joyce, went to the orientation, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Now, if everyone notices, you don't have a yellow shirt on. You have a Forever Paws cranberry shirt, which signifies that you are a staff member. How did that transpire?
Well, after about a year and a half of volunteering, an opening came open on Saturdays and Sundays, so I figured, well, might as well apply, see if, if that works out, and it did. So I work Saturday and Sundays, but I still volunteer the Wednesday and Friday that I did before because they need me and I enjoy it, so.
Well, it is a win-win situation, and since I'm the one that does the hiring and firing, I was very pleased. Your recommendations and references were excellent. Everyone at the shelter really respects you and likes what you do, so that was very helpful to us. Can you tell me on a typical day, is there a difference between when you volunteer and your staff? Do you find a difference?
Not now. When I first started, yeah, because I wasn't there in the morning, and on volunteer days I go in about 11 o'clock. And when I work, I'm there at 8:30. So when I'm there in volunteer status, I do pretty much the same thing, but I have to let the dishes go to the volunteers. But when I'm a volunteer, I can do the dishes.
Okay, now I know you have I think you have a main focus more in the cat area.
Yes.
And can you explain to our audience a little bit about what we do to make sure that the animals are kept healthy and there's no transmission of diseases or anything like that?
Well, in the morning, any animals that we have that need medical attention, we give them their meds. Then we start cleaning their rooms and the cages. We clean them, we change out their water bowls, their food bowls, give them fresh water, fresh food, change their litter boxes. The rooms, if the blankets are a mess, we clean those out, change them. Same in the cages. I do a lot of the work with the cages. So what I do is when I'm cleaning a cage, I observe the animal also to see if they are showing any signs of a problem, or if they have we keep track of their stools just to, because that can be an indicator.
Eyes.
Yeah, weepy eyes, sneezing. We mark that on cards. We bring that to the attention of someone else to verify. We will do checkups on that cat or whatever.
Right, and then you also have the foot baths outside of every door, so that people have to step in there so that they know what's going on. And sometimes I see you're in scrubs, or you have those blue on that they use at the hospitals, and you have that kind of outfit on. And I know that you're doing isolation, so I don't even go near you.
Right. Well, we've had some cats with upper respiratory, and it runs rampant. It's just like a cold. So we wear gloves, and we try to wear the drapes so that when we go to another room, we're not taking that bacteria with us to the next room.
So let me just say that I think you've learned on-the-job training while you were volunteering?
Yes.
Is that true? Okay. Now, also, you are an adoption person. Is that true? You're an adoption counselor. Do you help with the adoptions at all?
Yep. When someone comes in, they ask to see a cat. I'll take care of it, or one of the other people that know more about cats. We have several people that know more about the dogs, so I'll defer to them.
Okay.
But I will take people around, show them the different areas where the cats are, answer any questions. We had a quadriplegic lady come in the other day. She wanted a certain cat. She had to have that cat. When she came in yesterday, we all were like, we're not sure you want that cat. We have another cat that looks just like that one, and this one is a much nicer cat. So we try to make sure that each individual gets the animal that's right for them and for the cat.
That's awesome. Now, do a lot of people come back and visit with the animals? I know they do with the dogs. What about the cats?
You mean to bring them
Yeah,
back?
they bring them back to visit.
You're right, mostly with the dogs, but we have a website on Facebook that the people will send pictures of their cats cuddling with their little boy, or just cuddling on the couch, and we enjoy seeing those because it makes our work, our work worthwhile.
So it is helpful for those letters, those pictures that come in from people, and we do get. I know that sometimes Erin will have cards on her desk that'll say, thank you to the staff for letting me adopt, Scooby-Doo because he's a great dog, or Tinkle, he's a great cat, and it's just wonderful, and people really want to share all that information with them. That's really nice.
We ask them when they leave. A lot of times we'll say, if you don't mind, if you have pictures or whatever, you can post them on our on Facebook, or bring the animal back in. Not normally cats, but definitely dogs.
And when they come back, are they frightened? Are they going back into the Forever Paws, or?
Not really, because they see someone that they remember.
Okay, so they do remember you. I have a crazy question, but how is it working as a staff member of Forever Paws? Is it you're obviously there, and I know that I'm the one that does the hiring and firing. No offense, no pressure on you, but how is it working as a team member at Forever Paws?
I'm pretty easygoing, so I get along with everybody. We seem to have a pretty good group. We all care about the animals, and that's the important part. Everybody works together, does the job.
Right, you mentioned that there are certain people have the expertise more with the dogs, some have the expertise with the cats, but they will interact if they need be, so they all have the knowledge, and no one says, well, this is my domain, and I know what's best. Everyone works as a team, which I think is important for people to understand. We don't have a large staff, and I know that a lot of times I've asked the staff members to have volunteers shadow them, and I know at times that can be difficult because sometimes Joyce will send us some people that are always, let's say, not the best candidates to be volunteering at an animal shelter, and so we sort of assign them to staff people. But that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. Is that working out well?
Yeah, it is. They may not actually shadow us per se, but we'll take charge of one, and I'll get them to teach them how to do the dishes. You mentioned earlier that we have a certain way of doing the dishes. It is very important to get them completely clean and get any bacteria off of them, so I'll give them exactly how to do the dishes, and then I will watch them. I'll check in on them to make sure that they're doing it right, or keep an eye on them, so to speak.
That is important. People don't realize the importance of what you're going. You say, oh, you're just going to wash dishes. They think it's great, or even sweeping the floor. Where do you put the stuff? What do you do? And that's really important. One of the things I'd like to mention too, and I know you've done this quite a bit, is that our team is such a great team, and I like to say team rather than staff because we all work together. And we're volunteers, we're board of directors, we're all basically volunteers. Some of you get paid, probably not your worth in gold, what you should get paid. And the bottom line is that all of you either do foster care at home or bring in supplies. I know there for a while there we needed gloves, and you were bringing the gloves and going out and purchasing them for us. And I just think it's a great job what the staff does. I'm very proud of the staff.
Well, thank you. I mean, our reward is seeing the animals go to a good home. Animals that I think would never be adopted, or it would take a long time, there's somebody out there for them, and when those animals go home, it just makes it all worthwhile, because the ones that are cute and cuddly and easy, and they're going to get adopted quickly, but the ones that have an issue, a personality issue and someone comes in and says, I want that cat. Well, that cat could bite you. The cat proceeds to bite them and she says, I want that cat. That's what I'm looking for. So it's those kinds of things that are very rewarding. So that's where we get our pay.
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it. I really appreciate that. And the other thing I want to safely say, and I hope that you agree, that since we have gotten Bev and Matt, our board of directors, and Diane, sending pictures now and to Facebook and all that, and we have a trainer that's actually doing some videos of the dogs in particular, our adoption rate seems to be going well.
Very well. We've adopted out quite a few recently. Our numbers of animals in the shelter are down, but that will be picking up soon. But we've had a lot of adoptions.
That's awesome. Well, I think that, again, I thank you for coming today. I really appreciate you coming, and I think that all the staff members do an awesome job.
They do.
They do a fantastic job, and volunteers as well. So I thank you for that, and I want to thank Joyce and Diane for coming in today to explaining about volunteer coordinator and what the volunteers do, and Diane specifically what she does on adoption sites. And Laurie, thank you too, especially
You're
for
welcome.
coming in.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. Let them have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day